Good evening. This legislative session has truly been a historic success, not just in the context of this year or even for my time in the House, but this session has been the most successful implementation of conservative reforms in the history of this state, bar none. What we began last year with an aggressive common sense agenda to tackle our state's toughest challenges was continued with even greater vigor this year. It's no secret that we face many challenges this year away from what we were sent to accomplish. And I stand here to say to the people of Missouri that the people standing behind me did exactly what Missourians asked of them. They put their head down, they focused on enacting policies that will make Missouri the most competitive economic environment in the country. They made sure that nothing would stand in the way of their goal of spurring investment in this state and bringing good paying jobs for the hardworking men and women of Missouri. Now, I can't limit this credit to the House. I also want to compliment our partners in the Senate who bent over backwards to work with us this year. It's a credit not only to the leadership of Pro Tem Ron Richard, Senator Mike Kehoe, but every member of the Senate who worked in good faith with the House. The list of accomplishments this year is the only testament needed to show the hard work and the professionalism of the men and women of this House Republican caucus. Our accomplishments this year are almost too many to list, but I'll list a few of them. Tax reform, including tax cuts for personal income tax, corporate tax relief, a balanced budget that fully funds our education formula for the second year in a row. We restored cuts to higher education. We invested in infrastructure. We enacted 21st century labor reforms and the best suite of regulatory reforms I've ever seen in this House. Made significant improvements in public safety and education and improving our litigation environment. We made government more accountable. We invested in agriculture. And for the first time this year, we were actually able to get something done in reforming our tax credits in the state. We invested in workforce training and computer science programs. This agenda, we believe, will put Missouri on one of the strongest economic footings you can find anywhere in the country. And I believe that over time, it's going to provide tremendous dividends for this state. And that is a credit to the incredible talent and the hard work of this caucus. With that, I will be happy to take any questions. I'll start with you, Brian.
Mr. Speaker, when you stood at that podium in January, you said that the three big things you were going to focus on were education reform. You didn't mention charter schools specifically, that was one of them, labor reform and tax reform. Anything you didn't get that you were really looking at?
Well, I'm a big believer in charter schools, have been for a long time. But unfortunately, we were not able to get something across the finish line, but we were able to get some education reform done. The work of Brian Spencer and many others in the House to expand course access and virtual education, as well as the visiting scholar certificate that Representative Swan worked on, were big wins in education. We also, and a credit to Representative Donna Lichtenegger and Steve Cookson and many others who worked in the higher education space, probably the best set of higher education reforms that I've seen in my time in the House. So I'm happy with what we were able to accomplish on education reform, even if I think maybe my colleagues should come back to a few things that were left undone. As it relates to the labor reform and the tax reform, I couldn't be happier with the package of things that we were able to get across the finish line. Rudy.
We're unlikely to get another session like this in about an hour, so I was hoping that you could explain to us what the timeline is, when you expect things to happen during the special session, when we might see the full House back together.
Well, I don't know when the full House will be back. We're going to convene the session tonight, and the committee will resume its work as an investigatory body. And when we have an idea of when the House will be back, we'll let you know. Jason.
Last year, there was a lot of turmoil in the Senate. There was not nearly as many bills passed. This year, you were asked a lot whether the governor's, the drama surrounding the governor was slowing things down or impeding progress. Was the governor's drama actually helpful this some way and getting some of your stuff together, or bringing your caucus together?
I'll let my caucus's reaction speak for itself on that, but I will say that throughout this, we have been very committed to making sure that we accomplish the work that Missourians sent us here to do. And I think you see that in the work product that made its way through the process, roughly 145 to 150 bills that were truly agreed to and finally passed. And so I don't believe that there was any distraction this session. I believe the work product speaks for itself on that.
Well, the governor started off this session calling for tax changes, changes to the merit system. Were you trying to enact the governor's agenda, or is that just a coincidence that you had shared priorities?
Look, people were advocating for tax reform long before this governor was in office. The members of this caucus have been advocating for tax reform for a long time. And I said at the beginning of the session that the Senate would have their plan, the governor would have their plan, and the House would have our plan. And credit to Representative Har for his hard work in crafting that plan. But sure, there are shared priorities that this House has been working on for a long time.
The Attorney General's office has announced it believes the governor illegally hired impeachment attorneys. Cole County Prosecutor Mark Richardson has said he will not file charges related to campaign finance. Do you see that having any bearing on the House's case?
Garrett, we've been a little busy today with the work on the floor, so I have not seen the Attorney General's comments, nor have I seen the reports on the Cole County Prosecutor, so I just really can't offer you a comment on that right now.
Speaker, Representative Barnes on the House floor mentioned that he tries to pretend to smile at this session. Did you find it hard to pretend to smile, or did you smile all considering?
We're smiling right now is a good answer. I never find it hard to smile on Thursdays when I'm able to get in my car and go home to see my beautiful wife and kids. But there's no doubt this is a difficult job. It's a difficult job even under the most ordinary of circumstances. But I think we've approached it professionally, and I think we've approached it with as good a spirit as we can have. So I'm really pleased with the way the caucus has approached it.
Can you talk just a little bit about why the House Investigative Committee is expanding in terms of its membership? And do you know what the schedule is for tomorrow?
There's a whole lot of work to be done. And so the more members that they have on the committee to help them with that work, the better. And to the extent that that we can get them an additional manpower, that's the reason. Joe, excuse me, Joe.
One of the things that you have been hoping to focus on was ethics reforms and changes. When you assess what's been done or what's not been done, if banned bill right, just your thoughts.
Well, look, we have, in my tenure as Speaker, enacted substantive, meaningful ethics reform. It was not as much as I would have liked to have gotten done, but I think there have also been things that have been done that don't necessarily include legislation. I think the culture and the environment in this building is better than it was 8 years ago. I think that's a credit to the people in this caucus, and it's something that we're all very proud of.
Can you give us a sense of what happened to SJR 27 that came up and a couple of amendments died and then laid over?
Yeah, it's late in the session. We had a bunch of members that wanted to speak about it, and we also had another bill behind that we wanted to get finished, so it was a product of timing more than anything else. Anything else? Garrett, I'll give you one more.
Speaker, for 3 years, looking back, anything you want to do differently?
Well, there's probably 100 things that I would look back and want to do different, but when I leave this office, I'll leave with no regrets. Make the best decisions you can, some of them right, some of them wrong, and as long as we get more of them right than we get wrong, then I feel like that's a success. So I'll have no regrets. Summer.
How much direction, if any, did you take from the governor's proposals on taxes, or is this a completely legislature-driven tax plan that passed today?
This was a legislature-driven effort. This was a combination of the work of Representative Har and Senator Eigel, and the corporate tax side by Senator Koenig. Certainly, there are commonalities between some of the things that the governor was advocating for, but this was the legislature doing what it does best, which is working together to find common ground and coming up with a good proposal. One more.
Do you know, sir, what the schedule is for the House Committee Investigation?
I don't. They're going to work. Start work next week, but I don't know specifically what that schedule is. Thank you all very much.